Welcome to Unfiltered Business. Today we are joined by a gentleman whose career reads like a dramatic script. A Cambridge-educated barrister who traded the demanding stage of Courtroom for the captivating spotlight of film, theatre and television. He's the iconic voice behind many advertising campaigns and has served on the board of FINAS, which is the National Film Development Corporation of Malaysia. So get ready for an episode where we are going to dissect the aspects of funding, freedom and future of the Malaysian performing arts. Let's dive in. From the bar to the black box, what did you tell, or how did you tell your colleagues at Sean Delamore that you were going to leave your job in Sean Delamore and pursue this new career? What can you remember the most funny, interesting, and supporting stuff that people have shared with you?
Well, I think everybody knew I was into the arts. So I was already performing in plays while I was at Sean. I was doing plays. I was in Instant Cafe Theatre. So they kind of knew that was one of my passions. Law was kind of the sensible option, at university. Wasn't crazy about acting at the time.
Okay.
I would have read history or English. Then my father saying, what are you going to do with a history degree or an English degree? Why don't you do law? I mean, obviously that was an area that he knew about,
right,
and he felt that was close enough to English and history, but it would give you a professional qualification. And as while I was studying law, and then I combined it with archaeology and anthropology, that I really found that acting is my calling, and a specific moment was I was playing Othello in Cambridge at the Cambridge Playroom, and the final night, my sister and my girlfriend and stuff were there, and they all had carnations.
Oh.
So it's a big group. So when I took my curtain call, I was showered with crimson carnations, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do.
So that's when you realized this was your...
That's kind of a pivotal moment, saying, my God, this is what I want to do. And I think that role, I kind of lost myself in the role. So when I was acting, I just became Othello. And
Very
I
nice.
kind of forgot myself.
Like a method actor.
I don't know, yeah. I mean, I just got into it, and I had a wonderful Desdemona as well, and she was amazing. And it was, it really, I just thought, gosh, I can do this, and people like it. It was a small theatre, the Cambridge Playroom, but we sold out, and we had standing ovations, and I thought, gosh, and of course, red carnations,
yep,
which later my sister arranged for people to do when I did my solo show. I think you came to Bobo KL.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So one night she got friends of ours to bring carnations and throw carnations at me, just to kind of repeat, because I tell the story
right
in the show.
Right, okay.
And so that was kind of nice. So coming back, so that's when I thought, oh gosh, this is what I want to do. But then it was like, no, you better finish your degree, and then you better do your bar, and then you better do your chambering, and at least get your profession qualification. So once I do that, then it became hard to leave.
Right.
You get hooked onto, oh gosh, the paycheck at the end of the month, and then I fell into medical legal law, medical malpractice.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So otherwise, like corporate law and stuff, I didn't gel with me.
Okay.
But medical legal, I did. I guess there's drama. There's a lot of human drama in there, and through that, I sat on the Malaysian AIDS Council as the Bar Council rep for that. And that was an incredible experience, just opened my eyes to a whole new world of Kuala Lumpur, injecting drug users, and, whether we should provide condoms in prisons, and
right,
sex workers. And, it's just a fascinating world, and also how you can make life better for people. So these are marginalized people who needed help, and we could provide them with assistance and at least funding for treatment or access to treatment, access to awareness, sending out awareness, because it was a pretty serious issue, and people were dying, and we could try and prevent deaths, so that was very interesting.
Good.
But how I felt, but then medical legal, which I enjoyed, defending doctors and trials and things, very interesting, but it wasn't a money-making thing. So at that time, the insurance lobby, I think, kept damages for personal injury very low. So you couldn't make money from it.
Okay.
So then I was under pressure to do more, as I got more senior, to to do, corporate litigation or banking litigation, things which I didn't really like. So that kind of helped me say, gosh, I really don't like this. It's not me.
Sure.
And I don't have a flair for it. Whereas medical legal, I had a flair. I could somehow understand, maybe because my mum was a doctor and whatever.
Yeah.
So I could understand the medical issues and then explain it to the judge or explain it to other parties involved. I could distill it, summarize it, work with the doctor, the expert evidence, and so on. So that kind of helped me take the plunge to leave.
But that was leaving to a different industry altogether, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That must have been a
well, I think people
tectonic shift
for me. I mean, that was it took me almost 10 years to take that plunge. It was very difficult. I practiced for almost 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what did I don't know whether your colleagues or your superior say to you when you told them that you're going to take this?
I think people have been very supportive. I think I think people were quite my colleagues were all quite excited about shows that I'm doing. They'd come to see it.
So
and even my friends, even in Singapore, like friends of mine from, say, I was at Cambridge. I had quite a group of friends, Singaporean friends from Cambridge, who are all sort of very successful lawyers and doctors and stuff. But they were very like, oh gosh, our artist friend, So always had a guest room at many people's houses, and while I'd go down for auditions and things, I could stay with them. Sometimes even when I'm shooting a series,
supportive.
People were very supportive. They really, I was very lucky. I was very touched.
I want to take a short break to tell you that this segment is brought to you by our sponsor, PRR Elite, the agency dedicated to ensure that your business is not stuck in the past. Whether you need custom application or software development, or simply a good SEO strategy that lands you well on a Google ranking page, PRR Elite helps you master that technology and drive you to success. So get the cutting-edge digital training that you need for your business with the professionals at PRR Elite. I'm sure they're more than happy to help you to go through your digital presence and look for ways to better it and look for ways to enhance it. I will leave more details about PRR Elite in the description down below.
Yeah.
So the year is 2025 now. So if we have someone come up to you, to Chacko Vadaketh, and tell you, I am thinking about going full time into the theatre scene, or I'm thinking going full time into the film scene in Malaysia. What would be your immediate advice to them?
First is really only do it if there's nothing else you want to do or you could do. Because it's tough. It's very tough. There's no structure, like at least in law, once you get into a firm, then there's a hierarchy that you can work up, like you can aim to become partner, and, there's structure. So I think in the arts world, there isn't really a structure. And most of us are gig workers, right? You're just freelancing, going from job to job. So it's tough and even when you get the break, even in LA, some of my friends have got a break and say, oh my gosh, I've been cast in a pilot. And it's like, wow, that's the ultimate dream for an actor in Hollywood. If you can be in a series like, I don't know, one of the top series, a comedy series, say, you've got your life made up because you have regular work every week. You have work and you have you're a series regular, but then often the pilot is not picked up, or you do, and then you shoot a season and then it's not continued, so then it's over, then you're back to square one, just going auditioning from show to show. But obviously if you have that on your resume, that might help and
add weightage, right?
Yeah, add weightage to what you're doing. So I would say to this person, unless there's nothing else you want to do, then think about doing it. Get training. I think one of my kind of regrets is I didn't do a full course. I've done like summer programs here and there, and I did a summer program at the New School in New York and stuff like that. I was there for a law conference. So at that time, as a lawyer, I had money, so I could afford to go there, and I could afford to live in New York. I mean, obviously in student accommodation, and then there was this fancy. So living in a tiny little room in the West Village, then I was suddenly in the Plaza Hotel. You know.
Oh wow.
Was it the Plaza? Yeah, it was one of the nice big hotels,
Okay.
just for the conference. But so I did. So try and get training. I think having that foundation is good. And then decide what it is exactly, which part of the theater that you want to do, you know. Do you really want to be on stage? Have you got it to be a star? Have you got star quality, etc.? Or do you want to direct? Or do you want to be stage manager? Or do you want to produce? You know, sometimes, a lot of producers love the arts. And some of them were actually performers. Some of the top producers, like Farida American is, one of our top producers. But she started off as an actor. And that was her first love, and then she's transitioned to become a producer, and then she complements Joe Hasham, who's also an actor, but he's become a director, and they make a great team because they complement each other, and he focuses on and sometimes Farida will direct, etc., but usually he's directing, artistic director, and she's the executive producer.
Right.
And Christian and Marion did the same thing. Marion's a dancer, but in the five arts world, Christian became the director, artistic director, and Marion would produce a lot of their five arts productions, you know. So it kind of evolved. So also, I would say, once you qualify, find your team, so that you have a good team to work together with, and that you all complement each other.
Okay. And today, I'm guessing you were talking about theater, but there's also an aspect of film.
Yeah,
where,
film. Sure, and it's film. The film world is they're similar but different, you know, and obviously being on screen as opposed to live theater is different. But then the borders are blending, right? A lot of theater now is on film, and you can watch and often it's theater production is shot like a film, like multiple cameras and things.
But it's not the same.
It's not.
Being in a
how you do
theater
it.
and witnessing it, and also watching it from a cinema hall.
Yeah, and the big difference as an actor is a lot of theater, you rehearse and rehearse and rehearse and get it right. In film, often,
you don't.
Especially if you're like a guest star or you've just got a small role, you're just given the script, and you might have a few minutes for the director to say, I want to do this, and you want to walk here, there, and that's it. And then you're shooting it, there's hardly any preparation.
Sure. But if somebody...
Sometimes, yeah.
But if they've already spoken to you and they decided, this is what I really want to do, there's nothing else that I want to do, what would be their next step? Whether it's going to be in theater or whether it's going to be in the films?
Yeah, I think usually as a young person, they tend to know whether you want to be in films or you want to be in theater. As an actor, maybe you want to do both. An actor, normally you would start off in theater and then evolve into films. But if you're a director, then I think the theater director and the film director are usually very different animals, and they have different loves. They either love film or they love theater, and they go to theater. So they would know by then how they're going to work.
So when you said about go and get trained, when you realize this is what you really want to do. So I've come and spoken to you. I'm sure this is what I really want to do. In my next step in going to get trained, where should I go?
Yeah, it depends where you want to work, etc. Obviously, Aswara is a great place, especially if you want to be immersed in the traditional art forms as well as contemporary. You really get it. But it's very competitive. You have to audition, etc. That would be a great grounding.
Nice.
But it's a very Malay environment, primarily. I think, often there's just one or two non-Malays in each year, if I recall correctly. But it gives you a very strong foundation. But there are other schools, like I think Taylor, Sunway, have courses. Singapore has a lot of courses now.
Good.
There's the LaSalle School for the Arts, and there's the Victorian Technical Institute, something like that, where they have a theatre program. There are other programs as well, I think, that have come up since since I've not been in Singapore so long.
Okay.
So there are opportunities there. And I would say there are opportunities to work there. So if you want, try and break into the Singapore thing, and in terms of training and understanding the industry, and then maybe come back and try and
Develop.
take our industry to that level,
Right.
if you can.
Okay. So finish the sentence for me. You've made it in the Malaysian art scene when you can stop worrying about?
Oh gosh, I think many people have made. I was going to say when you stop worrying about, money, but I think you'll
You
never
were
stop
going down
worrying
that
about.
route.
You'll never stop worrying about that. But worrying about, getting roles. I think if you've made it, at least there is work coming to you, even if it's not particularly well-paying work. But I think you could sense that you've made it when people are asking to have you in their productions.
Okay. Today, do you think that there is a particular whisper that is coming from the audience with regards to film production or theatre production? That means what they would like to see, where they would like to see this industry be at. Whisper, because you can't hear it, but there is some chatter.
I think, a lot of times people say, especially television, there's no market for, say, English language television or the local industry. There's no real. But I think it's nice to see a story that you can identify with.
Absolutely.
And it's not, it's great to see stories that are happening in Midwest America or in New York or in parts of LA, etc. But then to see a story about your people, that your kind of people that affect you, that are issues that are facing your community. I think as long as people want quality. So people are less forgiving because you've been exposed to so much very high quality stuff now.
Yeah.
And even more so, it's at your fingertips, through Netflix or Amazon Prime, etc., or YouTube. YouTube has become huge. People are fussy about quality. So as long as they want quality, and I think that's because you want to have that suspension of disbelief.
Okay.
That's so important. So the moment something gives that away, then you've lost it. Then you start saying, this is somebody acting the role. They're not being that role. So, and that means production values have to be reasonably good. But you can be clever about it. You don't have to have huge budgets to make it, unless you're doing like a period piece or something. But as long as the audience can buy that's real,
then it's
then they can lose that disbelief and start believing in that character and that situation.
Good. Okay. Any last words you want to leave before we end today's session?
Well, I think here, Malaysians as a whole, we tend to treat artists and the performing arts in particular. I think films now have started being, people start thinking, oh gosh, that's a money-making industry because we've had these $60 million productions and 90 million ringgit, grossing productions at the box office. So I think it's starting to have a stature as a serious business thing or a serious industry. But the arts, people tend to treat of it as like a charity. Okay, we'll give them some money and they can put on a show.
Yep.
And I think we have to stop thinking about it, because the arts is also an industry. It's an important industry, and you may not see it in terms of ticket sales, etc., but in terms of how people perceive your nation, how your citizens perceive themselves, and have pride in their nation has to come through the arts.
Right.
And we can't just be making money all the time, and it's not all about, people need to relax, people need that escapism, and so we need to start treating the arts seriously, and as it's a serious industry.
Agreed.
And give it that prestige, and the people who work in it also that prestige.